correlated to your body's glutathione levels. You can think of this that if you want to have improved health of the skin, the immune system, long life, control of inflammation, better quality of life, this is going to come back to glutathione. We do have studies, by the way, that with X39, we show it helps to conserve the body's levels of glutathione. And of course, we do have a glutathione patch, but that's not the subject here today. But the good news here is that this study was designed to show what are the anti-aging effects of glutathione relative to improving the properties of the skin. And we can see it right here in the conclusion and the results. That oral glutathione effectively influences skin properties, and you can see a tendency toward increased skin elasticity. And glutathione also showed a significant reduction in wrinkles compared to taking a placebo. This is also worth pointing out that in our study we'll show on Alavida, the combination of using the Alavida patch with the Alavida cream, both the daytime serum and the nighttime cream, we saw a reduction in lines and wrinkles. This is just all to say that we can structure our diet or our supplementation or use of patches so that we can elevate glutathione and it improves the overall health of the skin. And as a benefit, we're going to get a reduction in the appearance of lines and wrinkles. One of the questions is, why does glutathione improve the immune system? Why are we getting this ancillary benefit? There's actually a number of different ways to answer this question. Glutathione, first, as an antioxidant, is going to help to manage the body's levels of inflammation. So if we're helping to manage oxidative and inflammatory stress, that in turn is going to put less demand on the body's immune system. That's one way to look at it. But interestingly enough, glutathione, for such a simple molecule, is actually going to do multiple things, much the way that we think of copper peptide. Copper peptide is a very simple molecule that's made of 3 amino acids that attaches to copper. Yet, of course, we know that copper peptide, which is elevated by X39, has a remarkable broad spectrum effect on our health. Well, here we would point to two things. First, glutathione helps to maintain normal cytokine levels. Again, you can have inflammatory cytokines that are associated with injury, and glutathione will prevent that from getting into a chronic state, which could later make us more susceptible to disease. Glutathione supports the lymphocytes. So in other words, over here, glutathione is essential for T cell growth, T cells being a white blood cell, important part of immune function. Glutathione also prevents oxidative stress in immune cells, exactly to this point that not only does glutathione make the immune system function better, it's important for the growth of those cells, but reduces the demands on the immune system. Now, I wanted to bring this up since we're talking specifically about the health of the skin. A number of years ago, I came upon an incredibly interesting study having to do with the damage that UV light causes on our DNA and how to prevent that with glutathione. There was actually a study that was showing that if you could keep your glutathione levels elevated, if you went out in the sun and you got too much sunlight and the sunlight damaged your skin, it damaged the DNA, it actually caused breaks in the DNA. If you had your glutathione levels elevated, the glutathione would help support repair of the DNA before the cells divided. So in other words, the cells would not pass on those genetic mutations from UV light to the next cell. Glutathione, in addition, again, to helping to reduce lines and wrinkles and the damage caused by UV light, is actually going to go a step further and protect our DNA. So that's some of the important data that comes out of these studies. We can see here in the conclusion, this refers to, by the way, normal human epidermal melanocytes, and the GAP is glutathione precursors. Noteworthy protective effects of glutathione precursors against UVB radiation were observed. There are also people that say, and there's some studies on this that are inconclusive. You see studies for and against the idea that glutathione can be used to whiten the skin. There's certainly data that shows that glutathione can help improve the complexion of the skin. But there's also some people that believe that glutathione produces skin whitening. But the studies I've seen that are kind of inconclusive. Again, a good reason to bring this up is twofold. Number one, X39 helps to preserve glutathione levels. We're not making any medical claims here, obviously. But also, if you're a vegan or vegetarian, I would suggest that you supplement with something like NAC to make sure that you're supporting your glutathione levels. Now, let's go and talk about copper peptide. We'll talk about X39 first, and that is our hero product here. It's our flagship product. And we always want to give thanks and appreciation to Dr. Lauren Picard, who dedicated his career to investigating and, in fact, discovering copper peptide, which happened around the late 60s, early 70s. And so most of the studies that you see, and certainly the foundational work on copper peptide, was done by Dr. Picard. I hope that he gets a Nobel Prize for this work. But in this study, we can just scroll down right to the introduction, and through his research, he was able to identify that when you take glutathione and apply it topically to the body, these are the types of benefits that you could expect. Now, of course, we have since added an Alavida eye cream that does contain GHK-Cu. Certainly, if you wanted to use that to apply to the skin, these are some of the benefits which are shown clinically. And you can even see here, he shows protecting the skin from UV radiation. So consistent with the clinical study that we just looked at on glutathione. This is interesting. What we're saying that we found out in our research is we could use X39 to elevate copper peptide, and as a consequence, we saw favorable improvements in the body's levels of glutathione. And as a result, in these studies, it shows that it can help to protect against UV radiation. Now, I'd be the first one to say, use a sunscreen. This is not something that you want to take a chance with. But it's just nice to know that if you're using a glutathione supplement, I can say that since we don't sell a glutathione supplement, then these are some potential benefits that you can get. Now, we'll go to another study here, and this is worth mentioning because copper peptide is just so incredibly powerful. Usually, you might see a peptide that has a very specific biochemical pathway and focus, and the effects are a little bit more limiting. But copper peptide is interesting because the effects are so broad. And one of the things that Dr. Picard discovered over his period of research was that actually what was going on was that copper peptide was regulating at least 4,000 genes in the human body. In other words, when we age, we can think of our genes as being a library of information. And as we age, some of those genes get turned on and some of those genes get turned off. These are the consequences of aging. In our research here, what we look at is how can we reset genes to a more youthful state? If there was a gene that was turned off, how do we turn it back on? That's some of the work that we've been doing here. Copper peptide is extraordinarily powerful in that regard. We could say that when you use copper peptide, it's going to be able to support the overall health of the skin, in addition to supporting how the skin looks through this gene regulation mechanism. Since we're discussing copper peptide, There's two different forms here. One is GHK, which is just the simple tripeptide glycine, histidine, lysine. And then the other is GHKCU. One of the powers of copper peptide is that it's able to bind with copper. It has a very, very high affinity for copper, and that's where the magic takes place. But what about copper just by itself? I'm always looking for excuses to eat chocolate. And I like to tell my wife that chocolate is a health food. She loves chocolate, but I don't think I've convinced her of that yet. But chocolate contains a lot of copper. Wheatgrass contains a lot of copper. And this is not going to excite too many of you, but liver contains a lot of copper. I know we have many of our friends here from Romania, and I know Romanians, they enjoy eating liver. I personally love liver, and it's extremely high in copper. The problem with liver is you can't consume it every day. It's very high in iron, and iron will actually cause oxidative stress on the body. I wouldn't recommend consuming liver daily. It would be far better to take a copper supplement. Let's say 2 milligrams, 4 milligrams of copper. And this would be as a copper glycinate. In clinical studies, it's shown that up to 10 milligrams per day is safe, but some people have a problem metabolizing copper. I would definitely recommend you ask your doctor about what's right for you. There's even studies that have shown that when you take more than 30 milligrams of copper, that within 2 hours, the levels of copper come down into the healthy range. What this means is that your body has a means to detoxify metals if they get out of range. Even if you had something like liver, which could have 30 to 50 milligrams of copper, within 2 hours, those levels of copper are back into a normal range. But some interesting things about copper that have been known relative to this study is that copper can turn on collagen production. If you're looking for a few different ways to support the health and vitality of your skin, supplementing with copper or making sure you get enough copper in your diet will help support the body's levels of collagen. And also, of course, they're going to help support the body's levels of copper peptide. Now, since we mentioned Roman times, there were stories that when Roman soldiers, they would go into battle, they would actually take pieces of copper and put it into an open wound. Or they would keep water in a copper bowl and they would drink that water or apply it to a wound, and they found that the wound would heal faster. And this today has been shown scientifically to be valid. Copper is going to first act as an antibacterial. It's going to help to kill germs and help to support the wound healing process. And as said, it's also going to help stimulate new collagens. Being able to apply copper topically to a wound or consuming copper is going to help protect yourself from wounds. I know people that have diabetic neuropathy and they have open wounds could really benefit from a copper supplement. Now, I think you've waited long enough. It's been a half hour. I'm going to share with you my secret formula that I used this summer when I was on vacation with my wife, and what I did to help protect my skin from sun damage and also get a tan without having to use sunscreen. Now, I'm going to be, again, the first one to say, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a practitioner. I am an inventor, and do not try this. Go see your medical doctor, and they're going to tell you use a sunscreen. So I'm going to tell you right away, do not do this. I need to keep myself out of trouble. Of course, I use X39. I use the glutathione patch. I use X49. And I also supplement with NAC and copper because I want to make sure that I have all the precursors there necessary to make copper peptide. But the other thing that I added in this summer for the purpose of this trip was astaxanthin. But this is what I did because I wanted to experiment with it. And I actually give my wife credit for this. She loves nutrition and health and LifeWave as much as I do. And she had said, hey, I saw a research study that was saying that astaxanthin could be used to protect the skin from UV damage. I took a look at the study and I said, I think there may be something here. I added 12 milligrams astaxanthin to my supplementation program. I took that in the morning with breakfast or with lunch, and my results were incredibly interesting. I was down in Italy this summer on a break, and I found that I was able to go directly to a tan, be out in the sun. I never got sunburned, and it was an incredibly great experience as someone that always would get red and burned. I think what I would recommend to you is that if this is something that you want to do, still use a sunscreen. And what you may find with this is that you tan easier by adding astaxanthin, copper, and NAC over to your diet. All right, now, sometimes the most simple and basic things are going to work incredibly well. Linus Pauling, who was a Nobel Prize winner, one of the things that he was known for was his research into vitamin C. And over the years, I've had an opportunity to speak with medical doctors that have used vitamin C clinically, and a number of them have said to me that this would be their go-to when one of their patients had something like cancer. And we're talking about getting vitamin C in an IV. It's very interesting research. Basically, as long as you're someone that can tolerate vitamin C at high doses, you'd start at 10 grams of vitamin C in an IV, which you get over a course of maybe 20 minutes or so. And you go all the way up to as high as 70 grams of vitamin C. And the mechanisms of how this works today is well known. Vitamin C at those levels will increase levels of hydrogen peroxide, which is an oxidative radical, and the hydrogen peroxide, which is naturally occurring in the body. It's produced by the immune cells. The hydrogen peroxide in turn kills viruses, bacteria, and cancer cells. Vitamin C is cheap, it's inexpensive, you can't patent it, and it's safe for most people, and it works extremely well. Well, why am I bringing this up? Well, one of the things that we know is that vitamin C can help trigger repair of collagen. It would be probably a pretty good idea to consume 1,000 milligrams or so a day. Again, speak with your doctor. 1,000 milligrams, 2,000 milligrams a day to help protect the health of your skin. Another interesting thing is the relationship between vitamin C and cartilage. Now, bear in mind that collagen is the most abundant protein in the body. About 60% of the protein in the body is going to be collagen. So it makes up what's called the cytoskeleton, makes up the very structure of the cells. And vitamin C has been shown to be a trigger. Let's say that you have no more cartilage that's left in your knee, and your doctor is telling you to get a knee replacement. One thing that you could look at trying is increasing your body's levels of vitamin C and glutathione. Combination of glutathione, vitamin C, and collagen protein has been shown to regenerate lost cartilage, even in people that are 60, 70 years old. That's something definitely worth looking into. But here, very clear relationship between the health of the skin and something as simple as vitamin C. If we scroll down here, we can see at this section on photoprotection, vitamin C is stored in the skin, and it's one of our first defenses against UV light. As our body gets exposed to UV light, the levels of vitamin C go down, and our body produces another antioxidant, which is melanin. In other words, the skin, the tan that we're getting is an antioxidant, so we can protect against UV light. And then, of course, in addition, it's going to show here how vitamin C can help to support collagen production in the body. And then here is another study just showing again that vitamin C supplementation has a role on collagen synthesis. And so the message here is this is yet another tool that we can use to help improve the health and vitality of the skin. You're using X39, you're using Alavida. You can take a supplement that's inexpensive like vitamin C, and this is going to help to support the overall health of the immune system and help reduce the appearance of lines and wrinkles. Simple and inexpensive. All right, now one more. I said I was going to mention something that had to do with the 20th anniversary cruise. And one of the things that we did was we stopped in Greece. This was the first time I had ever been in Greece, and I have to say the people there were incredibly friendly. It was a beautiful place. I'd always wanted to visit the Acropolis. Absolutely amazing. The food was incredible. And one of the things that you see, not surprisingly, is that there's Greek olive oil in about everything. You get Greek olive oil at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And there's been some very interesting research on real olive oil. There's a lot of fake stuff on the market, but real extra virgin organic olive oil can help to reset some of our genes back to a more youthful state. In fact, it's been shown that olive oil might be more powerful than resveratrol at helping the body stay young and healthy. And there's many great reasons for taking olive oil. Olive oil, of course, is rich in monounsaturated fatty acids, and this acts as a powerful anti-inflammatory. Olive oil also can help drive other nutrients into the cells. And we could probably talk for about an hour of all of the benefits of extra virgin olive oil. But it's really a true miracle compound. We can thank God that this was created for the benefit of human beings. But in any case, here, surprising benefit. These results suggest that the compounds in extra virgin olive oil might contribute to wound healing and tissue regeneration. Not only does it taste great, it's great for our longevity, great for the health of the skin, great for the health of the immune system, but even can support wound healing. This information is really important. If you know somebody that is suffering with an open wound, such as from diabetic neuropathy or idiopathic neuropathy, this information could change their lives. Let's go and take a look now, before we go to questions, on two of the studies that we've done. These are both in the LifeWave back office, but speaking to this concept that the Alavida patch improves the health of the skin and the topicals help to provide the nutrition for reducing the appearance of lines and wrinkles. Here we have a study that was done using a technique called electrointerstitial scanning. And this study was done by Dr. Sherry Blake Greenberg and also Dr. Homer Nazarian. Quick shout out to thank both of them. But what we can see is that in the study, the overall data demonstrated that wearing Alavida patch nightly for 5 consecutive nights a week, 2 nights off for a 30-day period produced highly significant improvements in the physiological functional status of the frontal lobes, hypothalamus, adrenals, thyroid gland, pituitary, and so forth. In statistical powers, we want to have a number that's less than 0.05. So 0.05 or less, you can see we got 0.001. This is a fantastic result and shows that using Alavida does in fact improve the overall health of the body, of course, with the skin being the largest organ. And then we combine that with the study that we did with BioScreen on the entire system. And of course, this was done years ago before we had the eye cream, but we can see that using this system now not only improves the health of the skin, but it improves the hydration of the skin, the firmness, the evenness, the skin tone, and of course reduces the appearance of lines and wrinkles. Carolee, this is just all to say that when we're talking about looking younger, being healthier, and people want to improve their appearance, and most people think of this as, okay, I want less lines and wrinkles. A good way to think of this is let's improve the health of the skin and then have a strategy for improving our health. And we get so many other benefits from this, such as improving the health of our immune system. So that would be the message today.
Well, I turned 44 in October, so you had my interest as soon as you mentioned aging and fine line and wrinkles. And I think you have everyone else's because I couldn't even keep up with the chat. It was flying. But we have some really good questions. The first one being, can you wear the glutathione patch every day? And another version, how minimally could you wear the glutathione patch and still see the benefits?
Those are great questions. First, yes, you can wear any of our patches every day. That's no problem. If people go to our back office and they look at studies, they'll see that we have studies which show this is what happens when you wear the patch every day, and the outcome is favorable. Now, we did a study which was comparing using the glutathione patch 5 days a week versus 7 days a week. And interestingly, people that wore it 7 days per week got much better results than wearing 5 days per week. You could infer from this study that because there are so many toxins in our environment today, we have to have a daily program for protecting our health from these toxins. Now, most people are going to be using X39, and X39 does support the body's levels of glutathione. I think what I would say is that people could have a strategy of using X39 daily, and then maybe if they wanted to use glutathione patch anywhere from 2 days to 5 days per week, if they didn't want to wear it every day, that could be an okay strategy. It all depends on their lifestyle. How healthy is their diet? How well are they managing their stress? Are they getting enough sleep? And all these things. Certainly, the patches can be customized based on an individual's own situation.
Perfect. Next question, David. They're asking, so you still take NAC even though you wear glutathione, X39 patches. You would still recommend that they take an NAC supplement?
I would recommend that, and I'll say why. For myself, I do a lot of travel, and my personal schedule is a bit erratic. And so when I'm traveling, I don't always have the opportunity to eat healthy. And that I don't really like about my busy lifestyle. I supplement to make sure that I'm getting enough NAC, I'm getting enough cysteine in my diet. I have a precursor there for making glutathione. And I also want to, of course, make sure that I have the precursors there to make copper peptide. So I structure my supplement program according to that. But yeah, I would say that if people wanted to be 100% certain that they were able to take maximum advantage of the patches, that modest supplementation would be preferable. Not necessary, but preferable.
Next question. They're asking if there is a test that they can do that will help them understand the amount of GHK or GHK-Cu that they have in their body.
Unfortunately, no. Now, when we picked up on this work, what we found was that you couldn't go to, in the United States, there's a place called LabCorp, and LabCorp does not have a standard panel for measuring GHK or GHK-Cu. So what we did was we hired 2 different companies in California, and we paid them a lot of money to develop a blood test to measure GHK and GHK-Cu. One of those companies actually failed, and they weren't able to do it, but fortunately we found a very bright PhD in San Diego, and they were, in fact, able to measure this. So when we do our studies, all of those studies go through the same company to measure levels of copper peptide. But unfortunately, there's no over-the-counter test for copper peptide.
Okay, good to know. The last question, Janet wants to know if she can start calling you the stem cell whisperer.
I think I would just stay and be an inventor. That would be fine, but I would say I would take that as a compliment, so it's certainly not going to hurt my feelings.
All right, I think that is all the questions that we have today. So, David, thank you. Is there anything else, any last wisdom that you would like to leave our brand partners with?
Well, I think what I would say is that we're so very fortunate that our Lord and Creator has put on this planet natural solutions for our health. So, for example, cancer, heart disease are top killers, and people often feel as if that they have to go and take some drugs that have adverse side effects. But what we know when we really study this is that there's already solutions that exist for supporting our health and for treating these conditions naturally. So I would really encourage people, if they're faced with a health crisis, that they find a practitioner that is a clinical nutritionist or someone that is familiar with natural therapies, and they really explore these options. I think they'd be quite surprised at what they would find. But God has created natural healing solutions on this planet, and they can save people's lives.
Thank you, David. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for sharing. And thank you, all of our brand partners who joined us today. We appreciate all the love in the comments, all of the questions, and your sincere desire to really learn more and be a part of the LifeWave community. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you all. And we'll see you again next month.
Thank you, everyone.